Welcome to the Wonderful 101 Remastered video review. This review is done by Sean Hughes and it's been remastered for video by Alex Barber. All gameplay from the Nintendo Switch version. Have you ever wanted to control your own Avengers army? One of the most iconic scenes can be seen here in the video. And until that day comes, PlatinumGames have seen fit to remaster the Wonderful 101, porting the 2013 game via Kickstarter. A few years ago now, superheroes became the forefront of both TV and film. They never really made it to the computer games with any success prior to the massive Marvel and DC front, which led to one of the most successful games in Batman Arkham Asylum. It's strange as the movie industry has embraced the comic book world, and video games are really yet to follow. Taking control of the Wonder Red, you embark on a mission to stop Geeth Jerk Federation, an alien terrorist organisation, from destroying Earth. Citizens can be found throughout the city who require saving. Once secured, they join your group and become part of the United Army to save Earth. Through swift weapon changes and fast-paced combat, you must attack and defend to defeat the alien robots. The Wonderful 101 Remastered comes flying out the gates with punchy, no pun intended, introduction to this world. It sets the tone during the opening scenes for a weird, wild and altogether wonderful superhero story. All the tropes of a superhero story are used and abused for better and for worse. It certainly feels as though its motto is new location, kill monsters, repeat, and enthusiasm for it can wear a bit thin over the course of 20 or so hours. Each character has personality from the off, with carefully curated dialogue evident throughout. The character designs are conventional and arguably typical of the superhero genre, with creative costumes that still conform to the expectations of a superhero game. Collectively, the Wonderful Ones provide the feel-good factor of a team with the expected dose of good humour and cheesy one-liners. The names of the characters are also fairly simplistic, however in-game dialogue seems to acknowledge that, with various puns throughout by the enemy. Heartfelt moments in amongst over-the-top action help to develop the characters further, and it really works well. Development of the characters is reliant on a more adult humour at times, and the hard-as-nails combat makes this better suited to teenagers and adults, even though it may be appealing to children. Heroes have their own special power, known as Unite Morphs, and it is these that inject the wonderful originality into the game. Accessible by making the appropriate gesture using the right analog stick, the Unite Morphs transform your cast of heroes into a superpower to wreak havoc on your foes. Selecting the right morph for the situation is essential, and the more members you have, the larger, more powerful the weapon you get. Making the appropriate gesture with the right stick can prove to be frustrating. This used to be done by the touchscreen on the Wii U, but they've ported it to the right stick, and in fast-paced fights it is a problem. A true highlight of the story mode are the boss battles, which are incredible, blending outstanding cinematics and larger-than-life enemy design with an excellent choice. The small arenas can mean though that the boss battles are challenging just because of the inconvenience associated with a small screen and a large enemy, rather though than the clever level design. Outside of combat, there are platforming sections which, when executed properly, provide a much welcome change of pace. These elements also make for some fantastic action sequences, which are an excellent accompaniment to the cutscenes. When the Wonderful Ones aren't transforming into weapons, they can be found morphing into practical objects to aid exploration and move the plot forward, whether it's a bridge to move between rooftops or a ladder to climb off onto a building. The movement is smooth. The challenge that the Wonderful 101 offers is a cause of much debate. On one hand, it ensures that character move sets are fully explored and an element of strategy required to complete it. However, it will leave some out of the depth. Thankfully, there are two easier modes than the default normal, which offer some respite from the difficulty spike throughout. Regardless of the options available, it's hard to ignore the overriding feeling that some of the difficulty from the issues in the way the game is presented to the player. The camera in particular is a sore subject. There is little room to manoeuvre, and during particularly tight spaces or large battles it can be hard to see what's going on. Whilst the game only has 9 operations, these are divided into a number of different missions, which can vary in both length and difficulty. Many players can be forgiven for thinking this is yet another hack and slash title. Whilst that is core, there is a strong emphasis on combat. The platforming and puzzle elements do offer something extra. The depth of this game lies in the way that your in-game money is spent on new skills and items, and how you approach each mission. Determining how and when to use these abilities of each playable character is where many will spend their time, and over the course of the game, this becomes much more intuitive. With missions graded based on performance and currency obtained through the skill, there is a lot of reason to play missions through multiple times. Some operations are more enjoyable than others, and fortunately, you can select which ones you want to replay. There is a multiplayer option, which offers the chance to play with friends. It's just a missed opportunity for us. This is restricted to local multiplayer and represents another occasion where the remaster could have enabled online play. What can be said though is the Wonderful 101 is good looking. The vibrancy and the pop of the colours is excellent and is well suited to the Nintendo Switch in both docked and handheld. And one of the Kickstarter stretch goals was to make recordings of 2 of the songs from the game, so you know the soundtrack must be outstanding. The accompaniment of the soundtrack alongside the permanent movements of the game is glorious, and it sets the tone perfectly. Over the top action and adventure is with pop art, cracks, bangs and wallops. The Wonderful 101 does not disappoint on the sound front. Having already alluded to it earlier, it comes as no surprise the cheesy and downright humour is delivered throughout with equally good voice acting. Wonderful fact, if you stay on the pause screen for too long, a narrator turns up and berates you for not understanding the importance of the mission. Although it's been said that the visual fidelity could be better, the production values of the cutscene are first rate. The story is told through lengthy dialogue between missions, but the real action is mid-mission when new enemies are introduced, or is there a big event to advance the plot. Both the characters and environments are brought to life during the cutscenes and include all the usual extravagance associated with superheroes. Moments where the player is asked to interact with the cutscenes, like Unite action, is a fantastic addition and keeps it punchy and fresh. Guidance on how to play the game and get the most out of it, particularly in the early stages, could have been much improved, particularly for a game and a developer who are renowned for difficult games. There is an overwhelming feeling that this game could have and should have been better suited for the Switch. Redefining the control scheme is done, but it isn't as intuitive as smooth as it could be. Handheld isn't the experience it should be either, and this limits the user base that was there to be capitalised on. Is it really a remaster? The only cue to it being a remaster is in the name. It is very hard to identify where the challenges have been made, and the changes, Offering little in the way of new content and performance that isn't as buttery smooth as you would expect, the Wonderful 101 fails to capitalise on the new lease of life. The sheer amount of work that would need to go into a remaster can't be understated. However, when labelled as such, the reviewers here believe it should be more obvious. Wonderful 101 was a game that didn't quite reach its potential, nor garner the audience that it could have, and it's likely that history is going to repeat itself. For almost everything the game gets right, there is something to remind you that there are missed opportunities. In summary, the Wonderful 101 Remaster is a good game that could easily have been great. Poor hardware representation and a bizarre Kickstarter would have affected its reception, and will ultimately mean that once again, the Wonderful 101 doesn't have the audience it so craves. You can read this full 101 point review on the website. Thanks for watching and listening, and I will leave you with the end of the trailer and you can listen to some of the amazing soundtrack. Goodbye!